Chicago is often considered the birthplace of community murals, with the creation of the Wall of Respect in 1967. This is also the year Picasso's public sculpture was installed in Daley Plaza. Recently in Chicago, several murals have been whitewashed. Many of these murals are frequently overlooked, neglected, and in some cases, erased. These murals are an important part of our cultural history and tell the stories of the communities and the people that helped create them.
My heart beats slow where the sun shines or snow. It's the breath to my dough. It's love knocking.
Chicago Public Art Group, or CPAG, has been creating and preserving community murals since 1971 and continues to do this work today. Their artworks are created by communities and artists working together to represent their voices. CPAG started as an artist collective in the early 1970s, inspired by the Wall of Respect. This mural was created in 1967 by the artists of the Organization for Black American Culture, OBASI for short, and everyday people that lived on Chicago's Southside. The mural depicted African American leaders, artists, writers, and others and celebrated their achievements. William Walker was one of the main artists that created this mural. He went on to paint several others throughout Chicago. He eventually teamed up with other artists to create the Chicago Mural Group, which became CPAG. These artists came together with communities to exchange ideas, address their situations, and work together to create dynamic works of art.
Fellas, I'm ready to get up and do my thing. I want to get into it, man, you know. Moving, doing it, you know.
In the 1970s, America left the Vietnam War, disco was popular, and Star Wars premiered in theaters. 1976 was the country's bicentennial, and many in the African American community felt left out. A Time to Unite was a call for renewed racial solidarity in 1976. Calvin Jones, Justine Devon, and Mitchell Cotton worked together to create this mural calling on the African American community to unite.
What's been fascinating to me about their work is how they kind of seamlessly blend, you know, the ancestral past and the urban present in all of their imagery, like with all the, you know, figures like in A Time to Unite. There's like African drummers by all these like textile patterns, like on clothing, you know, and for, you know, decorative and ceremonial purposes. You know, they would have these kind of ancestral African figures, and they would be always together with like figures, more contemporary figures, you know, from the present. And whenever there would be a contemporary figure in any of their work, there would also be like a textile pattern around it. So there was always this blend of how this is a continuum that, you know, from Africa to like, you know, African America.
During the 2010s, a reality TV star became president, video streaming closed most of the DVD stores, and social media became the main exchange of ideas. Woodlawn Works is a collection of acrylic and spray can murals created in 2016 by Ramon Static Barnes, Damon Lamar Reed, Max Sansing, and Bernard Williams.
After working with a number of elder artists from the Chicago Public Art Group, they pretty much had an aesthetic and an angle and a purpose for doing art that was community first as far as developing the concept and participation with the project. In other words, they were coming off the motive and still playing off the premise or the motive of doing art to create social change.
These murals reflect the local history and contemporary life of the Woodlawn neighborhood with vibrant imagery and bold graphic patterns. The mural blends the styles of different artists in the collage style that goes back to the early works of CPAG. Chicago's community-based art is a part of our cultural legacy. This tradition and these works need to be preserved. Our city's artists have sparked a movement that will carry on for generations. Like the Sankofa bird, we need to develop the next generation while celebrating and learning from our past. CPAG's murals exchange ideas, present our presence, and envision our collective cultural future.
Yeah, I mean, I think the murals on the south side of Chicago are significant because, you know, they're connected with a history of mural making that is very unique to Chicago. These kind of modest, community-based murals really it started right here in Chicago. In some ways, it's a treasure that I think Chicago should really try to preserve.
I also believe, you know, that you can make social change with art. I mean, I would even go further. I'm kind of on the aesthetic of Pablo Picasso, where you can use art to save the world.